What if I told you that you are currently being hunted, not by a predator in the woods, but by a force far more subtle, more dangerous, and infinitely more intoxicating? Whether you realize it or not, every interaction you have is a move on a global chessboard of influence. From the way a politician wins a crowd, to the way your favorite brand makes you feel like you can't live without their latest gadget, you are in a constant state of being seduced. But here's the kicker. Most people are playing the game with their eyes closed, wondering why they never get what they want. They think seduction is just about romance or what happens in the bedroom, but they couldn't be more wrong. Seduction is the ultimate form of power. It's the art of making people do exactly what you want while they believe it was their own idea. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal the psychological blueprints used by history's most manipulative and magnetic figures to bend reality to their will. And stick around until the very end, because I'm going to share the one fatal mistake, a single common behavior that acts like a psychological poison, instantly killing your influence and making people want to run away from you, no matter how attractive or successful you think you are. If you've ever felt like you're shouting into a void, or that you're constantly the one chasing others while they remain indifferent, Robert Greene's The Art of Seduction is the manual you didn't know you needed. This isn't some cheesy dating guide from the early 2000s. This is a deep dive into the darkest corners of human nature. It's about learning to read the hidden motives of everyone around you and mastering the soft power that moves mountains. By the time we're done, you won't just see the world differently, you'll start seeing the strings attached to every human heart, and more importantly, you'll know how to pull them. To understand seduction, you first have to realize that it's not about you. This is the biggest hurdle for most people. We are all naturally self-absorbed. We want to talk about our day, our achievements, and our needs. But a master seducer is a mirror. They look outward. They realize that everyone walks around with a giant hole in their soul, a sense of lack, a boredom with everyday life, or a secret fantasy they're too afraid to admit. Seduction is simply the process of filling that hole. It's about becoming the mirage that someone else has been searching for. Think about the archetypes Greene describes. Let's start with the siren. Imagine a woman who enters a room and the air seems to change. She doesn't have to say a word. She represents the ultimate male fantasy, pure, unadulterated pleasure mixed with a hint of danger. The siren works because she uses physical presence to bypass a man's logic. Think of Cleopatra. She wasn't actually the most beautiful woman in Egypt, but she was an expert at theater. When she first met Mark Antony, she didn't just walk up to him. She arrived on a gilded barge with purple sails, surrounded by boys dressed as cupids, while the scent of exotic incense floated for miles down the river. She created an experience. She understood that if you overwhelm the senses, the mind has no choice but to surrender. In modern terms, this is main character energy turned up to 11. It's about using your voice, your clothes, and your movements to create a spectacle that makes people forget their responsibilities. Then you have the rake. If the siren is the ultimate female fantasy, the rake is the ultimate female craving. The rake is the man who loves women too much. He is the bad boy who is completely devoted to the woman he is with at that exact moment. He is dangerous, he is unfaithful, but he is also incredibly attentive. Women are drawn to the rake because he offers what most stable men don't: intensity. He doesn't care about the rules of society, he lives for the moment. The lesson here is simple but powerful. Focus. When you are with someone, give them 100% of your focus. Make them feel like they are the only person in the universe. In a world of digital distractions and half-listening, that kind of intense attention is a drug. But maybe you're more of the ideal lover. This is perhaps the most sophisticated type of all. The ideal lover looks for what was missing in someone's childhood or their current life and becomes that thing. If someone feels misunderstood and ignored, the ideal lover becomes the person who truly gets them. If someone feels their life is mundane and boring, the ideal lover brings adventure and romance. This is what Casanova did better than anyone in history. He didn't just sleep with women, he studied them. He figured out their secret grievances and their hidden dreams. If a woman wanted to be a scholar but was forced to be a housewife, he would talk to her about philosophy and literature. He seduced their minds before he ever touched their bodies. The practical takeaway? Stop talking and start listening. If you can figure out what someone is missing and you provide even a tiny glimpse of it, they will be yours forever. Now, you might be thinking, this sounds a bit manipulative. And you're right, it is. But Greene argues that we are all already manipulating each other. We're just doing it badly. We use pressure, we use guilt, and we use logic. Seduction is the better way because it's based on pleasure. When you seduce someone, they want to be led. They want to fall under your spell. However, before you can start casting spells, you have to make sure you aren't an anti-seducer. These are the people who repel others without even knowing it. The brute is an anti-seducer, the person who is too direct, too aggressive, and has no sense of timing. The moralizer is an anti-seducer, the person who is always judging others and trying to make them feel guilty. But the worst of them all? The needy person. There is nothing that kills a vibe faster than the smell of desperation. Seduction requires a degree of detachment. You have to be able to walk away. You have to show that while you might want the other person, you certainly don't need them. Once you've identified your style and purged your anti-seductive traits, Greene takes us through the actual process. It's like a 4-act play. Act 1 is about stirring interest. You can't just jump into the deep end. You have to start by being vague. If you're too obvious, people get defensive. You want to send mixed signals. Be warm one day and slightly distant the next. This creates a psychological itch in the other person's brain. They start wondering, wait, do they like me? What was that about? Once they start thinking about you when you're not there, the seduction has already begun. You've moved into their head and you're living there rent-free. Next, you have to create a sense of lack. People don't change or move unless they feel a need. You have to subtly point out that their life is a bit dull or that their current relationships aren't as deep as they could be. You become the solution to the problem you just helped them realize they had. It's like a high-end marketing campaign. You don't sell the product, you sell the better version of the person who uses the product. As the process moves forward, you enter the stage of the hook. This is where you use the power of the cold-hot dynamic. You push them away, then pull them close. You create a bit of drama. Why? Because pure pleasure is boring. Humans are wired to value what we have to work for. If you give someone everything they want right away, they will lose interest. But if you give them a little bit of pain, a little bit of doubt, and then follow it up with a massive dose of validation, the dopamine hit is 10 times stronger. It's the intermittent reinforcement that keeps people addicted to slot machines and toxic exes. Use it wisely. Let's look at a historical example of this in action. The Duke of Buckingham was one of the most successful seducers in the English court. He wasn't just chasing women, he was seducing kings. He knew that King James I was lonely and felt unloved. Buckingham didn't just flatter the king, he made himself indispensable. He played the role of the devoted, slightly chaotic younger brother who needed the king's guidance. He created a dynamic where the king felt powerful and needed. By playing the submissive role, Buckingham actually gained total control over the British Empire. This is the charmer archetype, the person who doesn't fight you, but instead makes you feel better about yourself. They agree with you, they mirror your moods, and they let you be the star. And while you're shining, they're the ones making all the decisions behind the scenes. Now let's talk about the star. This is an archetype that thrives in the American landscape. Think of Marilyn Monroe, or even modern-day influencers. The star is someone who is both present and distant at the same time. They have a blankness that allows people to project their own fantasies onto them. If you're too real, you're boring. You have to have a bit of mystery. You have to be a bit of a dream. In your own life, this means not oversharing. Don't tell everyone everything about your life on the first meeting. leave gaps. Let people fill in the blanks with their own imagination. The imagination is a far more powerful seducer than reality could ever be. But as you move toward the climax of any seduction, whether it's a business deal or a romantic pursuit, you have to be ready to move in for the kill. This is phase 4. This is the moment where you drop the games and show your hand, but only when the other person is so overwhelmed with desire or interest that they can't say no. You create a now or never moment. You use the supreme move. This is where you prove your devotion or your value in a way that is undeniable. Imagine you're trying to land a dream client. You've been vague, you've been charming, you've shown them the lack in their current strategy. The final move isn't asking for the contract, it's showing them a piece of work so brilliant, so tailored to their secret fears and hopes that they feel they would be fools to walk away. You've seduced them into believing that their future success is tied to you. However, the most dangerous part of seduction isn't the beginning, it's the after effects. Greene warns about the disenchantment phase. Once you have what you want, it's easy to let the mask slip. You become lazy. You stop the theater. This is where most relationships and business partnerships fail. To keep the power, you have to keep the seduction alive. You have to constantly reinvent yourself and stay one step ahead of the other person's expectations. Now, remember that open loop I started with? The one fatal mistake that kills all influence? It's something Robert Greene calls the brute's ego. The mistake is being too direct. We live in an age of brutal honesty and getting straight to the point. We think that being direct is a sign of strength, but in the world of human psychology, being direct is a sign of weakness. It shows you have no patience, no self-control, and no understanding of the other person's need for the dance. When you are too direct, you trigger the other person's ego defense. They feel pressured, they feel hunted, and they instinctively say no. To be a master of influence, you must learn to be indirect. You must learn to plant seeds that grow in the other person's mind until they think the idea was theirs all along. Stop pushing and start pulling. The Art of Seduction isn't just a book about getting people to like you. It's a book about the reality of human power dynamics. It's about realizing that we are all actors on a stage, and the people who win are the ones who understand the script. You can choose to be the person who is constantly being moved by the strings of others, or you can choose to be the one who understands how the strings work. Take a look at your own life. Which archetype do you naturally fall into? Are you the coquette, playing with people's emotions to keep them interested? Are you the natural, winning people over with your sincerity and playfulness? Or are you the charismatic, radiating a sense of purpose that draws people in like moths to a flame? Once you identify your natural strength, lean into it, master it, and then start observing the people around you. What are they missing? What is their hole? If you can learn to see that, you will have a level of influence that most people only dream of. If you found these insights powerful, you really need to read the full book. There are layers to this psychology that we've only just scratched the surface of. But for now, start practicing the soft touch. Be a little more mysterious, listen a little more than you speak, and most importantly, never, ever be the brute. If you enjoyed this breakdown, do me a huge favor, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us keep bringing you these deep dives into the books that actually change lives. And I want to hear from you in the comments. Which of the seducer archetypes do you think is the most powerful in today's world? Is it the siren, the star, or maybe the charismatic? Let's get a conversation going down below. Thanks for watching, and remember, the world is a stage, so make sure you're playing a role worth watching. See you in the next one.